Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Alex In Wonderland, 33 here, and we're back. We're back with another video. It's been a while. I hope you guys are well. I'm very well, thanks for asking. Today's video, we're going to be doing another book review. We did a book review not long ago. We talked about motorcycle maintenance, art and the Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance. Great book. Check the video out. I tried my best with the book review. What more do you people want from me? Today we're doing another book review on the most recent book that I finished. Crime and Punishment. Crime and Punishment by our boy Fyodor Dostoevsky. Such an important book review that we're wielding the Dostoevsky hat. We just don't care anymore. Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. I'm sure you've all heard of it, or you've at least heard of it, hence why you're watching this video. I mentioned briefly in one of my first videos that I read the first book I ever read by Fyodor, the first and only book, not including Crime and Punishment, is Demons, or The Possessed, or The Devils, depending on the translation, right? That was a great book. It was a hard read though, because it's a bit of a slog, and it's, I kind of looked up online forums and such. Avid Dostoevsky readers agreed that it's a really tricky book to read, in a sense that it's a lot of chit chat in the village, blah blah blah. This isn't a Demons review, so we won't go into it too much. But I firmed it, and the last couple hundred pages of Demons went hard. The ending went so hard, in fact, that genuinely I remember sitting here. I kind of finished the book. I had my feet up like this, and the ending was such a mind boggler, that I put the book down and I literally just sat here in silence for about 15 minutes. That's no word of a lie. That was the first book I read, and I really enjoyed it. I did in the end. But Crime and Punishment I had to read because everybody talks about it. It's supposedly one of his best works. I know other people, it's in contention with the brothers Karamazov, I think that's what it's called, or The Idiot. There's a few, right? Whatever, but Crime and Punishment. I mean, look, it was a really good read, and I really kind of enjoyed reading this. It wasn't a slog compared to like The Devils or Demons or The Possessed, whatever you want to call it. And I kind of got through that book quite quickly. I finished it about 3 weeks ago, so it's not that fresh in my mind, but I do remember enough, I believe, whereby I can try and make this video. I don't know if it's a book review or a summary. I just want to talk about the book. So, I mean, where do I begin? I mean, do we go down the spoilers route? Let's just say spoilers. I'll put spoilers in the title of the video. So the general plot is that we have the main character, Roddy Romanovich, or Raskolnikov. I'm sure I'm saying it right and I can remember properly, kind of recall his name. He's a destitute law dropout student in St. Petersburg. He's got some crazy ideas. The ideas kind of come to fruition, and he enacts his ideas in person. He kills someone, right? He kills someone that he believes is justified for his own kind of personal... It's weird because it's partly like argued that it's for his own personal gain to get some money, but it's also partly down to his mindset of the kind of... extraordinary thinkers or humans that are allowed to do certain things without repercussion, or should be allowed to do certain things without repercussion, because they're like elite humans. Not, I'm vaguely recalling, but you know what I mean. He references, the main character talks about like Napoleon a lot, and oh, do people care about the dead bodies under him? You know, the people that he killed, when his kind of desired outcome, and his outcome was great. You know, like great individuals, great men and women. But at this time, I don't know if he was talking about women. They're allowed to do certain things to achieve their desired outcome if the outcome is great, and if the person is of a certain stock or a certain intellectual capacity, or a free thinker or a more advanced thinker. But anyway, this destitute student carries out a murder, ends up being a double homicide of a pawnbroker, a lady, and her like stepsister, and it just kind of follows him and the kind of repercussions and the aftermath of this double homicide. I mean, that is a spoiler, I guess, but I'm assuming most of you know the general kind of plot of like what happens. And I suppose like even in the blurb, it does say, it tells the story of Raskolnikov, blah 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 blah, who commits a random murder without remorse or regret. Random, I don't know if it's random. I think he always knows who he's gonna kind of kill, but kind of, yeah. I mean, Roddy is a really interesting character. Arguably, he's the original Sigma Mal. You know, he's a law school dropout. He's a young man. I think he's like in his early 20s. He keeps to himself. He hates most people. He believes he's better than everyone else. He's hopelessly depressed. He's a really interesting guy, in my opinion, at least. And yeah, you know, it's really good. He's got a good friend who is also a great character, Razumikin. I think that's how his name. But it's like his best friend, a friend from law school, who's Razumikin, yeah. And Razumikin loves Roddy very much, but Roddy is very hard to deal with. And Razumikin is always there by Roddy, Raskolnikov, Roddy. He's always there by his side, trying to look after his friend. And then Roddy, so the main character, Raskolnikov, Roddy Romanovich, his mum and his sister are also a big part of the plot, and they live far away from Roddy, but they come onto the scene because his sister's getting married to this lawyer. Roddy doesn't like the lawyer. Roddy starts feeling the heat from the kind of authorities, the police and stuff. He's already a bit insane. He doesn't eat. You know, he's like goes around wandering. He's all by himself. His mind starts playing tricks on him. I mean, I'm not going to go too much into the plot. There are all different kind of sub stories weaving through. The characters are great. Like I said, Roddy, his mum, who's a great example of a mother's love for her son, her firstborn and only son. And her, I forgot what her name is, Dunya, maybe. But you see what goes on with the mum and how much she loves Roddy, and Roddy keeps pushing her away. And there's a few kind of police guys that kind of come in and out of the story, but essentially as it goes on, one of the kind of inspectors basically kind of starts toying with Roddy and basically letting him know that, look, I know what you've done, young man, and I'm on to you, but he doesn't quite, you know, he like teases him. Roddy meets a girl, obviously, young lady, and a prostitute, poor young prostitute. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I may or may not have IBS at this point. Who knows? But Sonia, he kind of, does he fall in love with her? I don't know. But it's just a great story. It really is riveting stuff. And yeah, I mean, enthralling to say the least. And I kind of get why there's so much hoo-ha about this book. Yeah, I mean, Roddy just hates everyone and he just wants it with everyone. He just doesn't seem to get along with anyone. I mean, that coupled with the fact that he's a murderer. But it's a story of redemption, or transformation. I mean, a lot goes on. I should have done this book review sooner because it's not fresh in my mind. Like I said, there's little different sub-stories that kind of intertwined and Roddy kind of has to deal with and sort out. But the main premise is about the young man who decides he wants to commit a murder. He feels justified. He commits the murder. He's not quite prepared for the kind of onslaught of psychological issues as well as the kind of physical of him getting hunted down, so to speak. Kind of, people catching on. He goes around talking absolute nonsense, almost letting people know what he's done. He's a bit cheeky. He does think he is a bit too slick and a bit too smart. I won't say too much. Maybe I've said too much. But yeah, it's a really good book and I highly recommend it. I mean, I'm just trying to think of what else I can, it's just Dostoevsky, in my opinion, really encapsulates. He really does a good job at conveying, I think, how a lot of young men may feel, and how a lot of people are in general. A lot of leaders throughout time and great men or whatever do terrible things to achieve their outcome, and they probably do think exactly like Roddy Romanovich, in that a murder here and a corruption here and a cover this up and do this. As long as it achieves the desired outcome, we can brush this aside. As long as you're lauded at the end and you achieve your objective. Although Roddy doesn't really achieve what he wants to set out to do. I mean, doesn't actually use any of the kind of goods that he steals or money for himself. Kind of gives a lot of it away, if I remember, to one lady, Sonia's stepmom, Sonia being like Roddy's girlfriend in the end, the young prostitute. I mean, again, look, I've done a shoddy kind of summary here, a shoddy book review, and I haven't put any thought into this, which is probably not great. But yeah, I mean, poor Roddy is just in so much turmoil all the time, even before he kind of commits these murders, and he's just constantly grappling with his outlook, life being beautiful, and then people being stupid, and him being above everyone, but he's so alone kind of thing. I mean, he does a really good job, Dostoevsky. I mean, obviously he does a really good job, otherwise people wouldn't kind of, this wouldn't be lauded as one of the best books of all time or whatever. But I mean, all the characters are great. There's not one character I didn't like. There's one guy, Svidrelagov or something, bit of a strange character who makes an appearance at the end, and he's very interesting, arguably one of my favourite characters in the book. And yeah, I mean, I'd need to kind of flick through and come back at you guys properly. I didn't want to go too much into it. Yeah, It's great. Really, it is. It's great. I'm not just saying that. I mean, I know it's kind of simplistic, me just sitting here saying it's great, but this young troubled man, I actually look. I don't want to go around and commit any murders. All right, don't you dare say that. And look, I don't believe many people do, but people get angry, people get confused. You see a lot of hate out there, and a lot of division, and these people hate these people, and this people hate this people. And Roddy, this book gives people an outlet, I believe, because really, in the end, young Roddy finds out, he learns the hard way that not worth it. His justifications are wrong. He's not some sort of brilliant mind, or kind of, maybe he is, but he doesn't bring, he doesn't do anything useful with his superior intellect, or his kind of whatever. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't, I'm sure you can kind of guess. He doesn't end up where he probably thinks he ought to be. He goes around, he commits his murder, he just has to go through absolute hell, psychologically more than anything, only to find at the end he has his revelations, right? And he kind of comes around that love conquers all. So, I think that is basically it. And he kind of realizes how much of a waste man he's been, really, so to speak, pushing everyone away, the way he is with his mum, the way he is with his sister, the way he is with his best friend, just... And he was, like I said, bad enough as it is, and then he commits this murder and he just can't cope. He can't do it. And he's just got, like, the walls are closing in. So I think this is a really good book for people that are feeling a lot of anger, and, you see it out there, people on one side hurting people on another, and people doing this to other people. I'd say, chill out. Just chill out. Try and give Crime and Punishment a go. And just, love conquers all. In the end, he's got a lovely girlfriend, and she stays by his side. She knows what he's done. And I think he's become so cold and hardened in his heart that I think he finds it difficult to accept that, people still love him and care for him and are there for him, despite the fact that he is a double murderer. And then in the end, he slowly comes around to the idea that, really, all we have in this life is the connections, relationships with people. He kind of snubs every connection in his life, turns his nose up at everything, and, he kind of sees himself as a superior man or whatever. I mean, again, I might be wrong, but it's the gist, kind of. And all he really needed was a hug, I think. I mean, he gets a couple of hugs throughout the book, but very misunderstood young man. Almost radicalised, I suppose. Radicalised in his way of thinking. But definitely comes round. Maybe too late when he does come round. But it's a nice ending, if I remember, in a sense. I mean, at least he changes as an individual. Roddy Romanovich. It's a great book. I get the hype. I really enjoyed it. I will be reading the rest of Dostoevsky's books. I've got The Idiot upstairs, which I'll probably do next. I'm just kind of dabbling in some smaller stories at the minute before I kind of take on anything again, any kind of bigger books, so to speak. But Crime and Punishment, it was great. I've tried my best with this kind of review book summary. I hope you enjoy it, and check it out if you do. I'm just annoyed at myself that it took me so long to get round to it. And it was a really good read for the couple months it took me, or however long, balancing work and everything else. One thing I did really kind of look forward to was coming home and getting in bed and reading that book. So I'm sure you will enjoy it too if you haven't read it, and let me know what you think. Guys, it's been Alex in Wonderland 33. Peace.